Fayette Alliance believes in solar energy, and we believe in protecting our environment. And I think all of these people that are here and outside all feel the same. And the good news is that today we're not talking about whether or not to support solar. We're talking about how and where to prioritize solar. We're talking about countywide policy and not whether Silicon Ranch is a good company. While they started this process, we all know that it's not good policy to change a countywide zoning ordinance to accommodate one specific company. That company could close like 100 other private solar developers over the last year, and then we're just left with bad policy. This policy that we're talking about today will apply across the board, across the thousands of acres of farmland that people in this community rely on, and to any private out-of-state solar developer who has the resources to push this issue like Silicon Ranch does. And if a policy is passed that allows large-scale solar in our ag zones by private developers, the council won't be deciding which private company can operate on our farmland. The Volunteer Board of Adjustment will. And if that happens, I believe that out-of-state national solar organizations will be spending resources right here in Lexington on phone banking and lobbying and national advocacy organizers, just like Silicon Ranch has on this issue, like all the calls that I've received over the past 2 weeks. People outside of Lexington are spending a lot of money in working to shape our local policy. Fayette Alliance has always worked locally to promote sustainability initiatives and responsible development. Every year through Grow Smart Academy, we educate hundreds and hundreds of Lexingtonians on sustainability and transportation, highlighting smart renewable energy efforts, statewide solar projects on mine sites, public transit, Imagine Nicholasville Road. We're a Tree Week partner, we support expanded funding for parks, we're active on the Bike Ped Advisory Committee, and I could go on and on. We're committed to reducing our carbon footprint by putting solar on our local landfill, on every parking lot, rooftop, school, government building, and airport in this community. But we're opposed to policies that allow industrial-scale solar facilities by private developers on our ag land. We know that there's so many opportunities in our built environment to do this right, to make a huge impact and directly offset our biggest energy consumers, which specifically are businesses, cars, and homes, in ways that directly benefit Lexington. Businesses and homes are already doing it, and nearby cities, Cincinnati, Evansville, Indiana, have shown us how we can do it on parking lots, how we can do it on schools, and we can do it on buildings, but they require leadership to make them happen. We've seen no public effort to look at any other place for larger scale solar than farmland, which has been surprising, and demonstrates a little bit that this effort and conversation is really just based on Silicon Ranch's proposal more than anything else. We know that public utilities are not subject to our local planning and zoning rules, and they can continue to site industrial scale developments on our farmland despite local objections and despite local policies. If a cap on farmland acres covered by solar was put into place, public utilities are not subject to it. The state has already approved a 400-acre solar development in Lexington on our farmland by East Kentucky Power, despite that only 2% of their customers are located in Fayette County. In addition to that 400-acre solar development that is moving forward right now, city is also considering solar on another 400 acres on the Haley Pike landfill, which alternatively is a great use of a brownfield in the rural area that can't be used for anything else. We're excited to see it come to fruition. Together, these two projects right now will be 800 acres of large-scale solar in Lexington-Fayette County, the size of nearly 200 Costco's, the size of the one at Hamburg. Why create policies which open up more and more land to this use by private companies, knowing that the energy is not going to come to Lexington and won't offset our own emissions? Reaching net zero by 2050 is a goal in our comprehensive plan, and there's so many ways we have to work towards it. Large-scale solar on farmland is the one way with the most negative impacts and which would throw the rest of our goals of our comprehensive plan out the window in the process. The most responsible thing for our environment is to take the time and the effort to figure out how to do these projects in our urban areas. I've seen a lot of information about why Silicon Ranch's project is good for Lexington, but it's important to note that Silicon Ranch's projects may well be great in other counties, like Garrett County, which doesn't have planning and zoning policies like we do, or other locations in the state without the agricultural economy that Fayette County specifically relies on. I've seen info about economic impact that the project will create, but little about how the revenue projected is over the course of 30 years. I've seen info about agrivoltaics, but there's been no public discussion of what this would look like here or how it would be regulated. There's been no discussion about how little ability there is to enforce zoning regulations on an energy company related to soil quality or topsoil removal, that other cities have faced these issues and had to take these issues all the way to the Environmental Protection Agency to get them resolved. There's been no discussion of the fact that Silicon Ranch has never decommissioned a solar project and can't attest to what the land will be when they're done with it. And I've seen nothing about the fact that the energy generated by their project does not project to lower the cost of Lexingtonians' utility bills, offset our own carbon footprint, because that energy doesn't stay here. And yet, UK calculated that for every 10% decline in Lexington's production agriculture, there will be an additional decrease of $19 million in output every year to our local economy. We've got a lot at stake, and that's different from other communities that may be evaluating these types of policies. Other cities and states have spent time putting detailed policies on solar, learning about best practice recommendations. That doesn't seem to have happened here. No amendments to the GGP-approved solar ordinance have been made available to the public since the July 1st meeting. I imagine that amendments will be proposed today that the public has never seen or discussed, and I hope that that lack of transparency and public involvement isn't actually the case. Councilmember Savigny and others put in newsletters after the July meeting that a work group was going to be formed to study these issues, and yet no more information has been provided or information about the work group has been appointed. We ask you to consider these points. The Commission and the GGP have already voted to approve policies that support solar in urban areas while preserving our finite farmland. You can say no to industrial-scale solar on farmland and still say yes to solar and yes to our environment and yes to clean energy. Saying no to solar isn't a vote against jobs. Every job in this community is important. And if that were the case, every zone change or policy that impacts construction or development would also be a vote for or against jobs. If we signal to private developers or the state that we'll permit solar development on our farmland, more will come. And if we take a firm stand against it and say why, we can support solar while also supporting Lexington. We ask you to uphold the Planning Commission and the GGP committee, what they've already voted for. This in your packet today. Lexington is already getting a 400-acre solar farm by EKPC and another 400 acres on the Haley Pike landfill that's been proposed. Before we look to more farmland, please focus our solar initiatives in our urban areas. Consider the importance of the 16,000 jobs right here in Lexington that rely on productive farmland across our economy, because energy generated by these private developers doesn't benefit Lexington. Consider the private development doesn't propose long-term jobs or revenue for the city of Lexington. Consider that the Bluegrass region was designated by the World Monuments Fund as one of the top most endangered landscapes in the world. Lastly, consider creating a work group that includes community leaders from organizations like Fayette County Public Schools and UK and Transy and Bluegrass Airport and others that can work together with the community and focus on how to do innovative projects that we've seen across the country. They're possible, and we can learn from local efforts that are already doing it. Let's say yes to responsible solar as a community. The question has never been if we support and invest in solar as a community. The question has always been how. Thank you.